Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We are talking about the Green Bay Packers in tonight's video because it's Chicago Bears week. Taking them on the road at Soldier Field. I'll be at that game tomorrow afternoon. Green Bay is 6-3, and they're going through this weird thing called, I think, the bye week blues, where this is a team that won 4 straight games, lost in a sloppy fashion to one of the top 2 teams in the NFL, in the Detroit Lions, 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever. And now everyone forgot about it. And they won 4 games prior to that. And it's just, I want a huge bounce back victory, but it's just crazy because every time a team hits the bye week, everyone, like the NFL just completely forgets about them. Jordan Love, it's second half time for Jordan Love here. Packers playoff chances with a win tomorrow, 80%. Packers playoff chances with a loss, 48%. So I'm looking for a bounce back, and who better than against the Chicago Bears, against the Bears. 10 in a row, 25-3 since 2013. Sorry, 2011 even. 13 of their last 14 have been at Soldier Field. An 11th consecutive win would tie an all-time record for the NFL's oldest rivalry here. They've won 10 in a row. Matt LaFleur has now lost to the Chicago Bears, being the head coach for the Green Bay Packers. Caleb Williams, the Bears starting quarterback, he's been sacked a league high 38 times this season, including 9 last week. But it's crunch time for the Chicago Bears team. They are desperate, and they desperately need a win here. So welcome back to the channel. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring it. More on that in a minute. But hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, along with a couple of Packers videos every single week. Packers fans, especially, if you could try and get this video to 250 likes, folks, that would mean the absolute world to me. So one big reason I'm extremely excited about this Green Bay Packers team is Jordan Love is finally fully healthy coming out of this bye week. The bye week came at literally the most important time for Jordan Love. So Jordan injured an MCL in his left knee in week 1. He missed 2 games. Malik Willis steps in, does an exquisite job. And then in week 8, he suffers a groin injury. And he kept missing practices before that loss to the Detroit Lions. And it was very clear that his mobility was affected, and it was very clear that his throwing strength and his accuracy, everything about Jordan Love was affected with that groin injury especially. He's completed just 61.3% of his passes. He's also thrown 10 interceptions and scrambled only 5 times in 7 starts this season. So once again, very clear to me that Jordan Love has been kind of playing on one leg, and I'm not using that as an excuse, because if you suit up, you are healthy. But my point just is, this is very similar to last year with Jordan Love. Between weeks 1 and 9, he completed only 59.6% of his passes. He had 12 total passing touchdowns and 8 interceptions. In the second half last year, Jordan Love was an MVP. He probably was the second half MVP in the NFL. In his final 9 games, Jordan Love completed 68% of his passes, had 2,400 yards, and most importantly, he had 20 total passing touchdowns and this is the most important part, only 3 total interceptions. Only 3. Now, it's really important to note that, all right, guys, once again, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this video. But before we get back into it, if you're feeling ballsy, the Green Bay Packers here are sitting at plus 1,200 to win the division. I know it's a long shot because Detroit is a really good team, but plus 1,200. I'm a biased Green Bay Packers fan, so I feel a little bit differently, but just keep that in mind that BetUS is offering that, and doesn't end just there. They're doing 150% bonus on your first deposit, and they're also offering 125% on your next 2. All with the code YouTube150. Let's get back to the video. Jordan's got 10 picks on the season, but when you're watching these games, some of them are errant, some of them are sloppy, like against Detroit, Kirby Joseph throwing that pick 6. That was just stupid. But then there are also ones where guys like Bo Melton are slipping. And keep in mind, most of Jordan's picks are coming in the first half here. He's got 8 total picks out of his 10 in the first half this season. And 6 of his 10 picks are when Green Bay they have to gain more than 10 yards. All right. So one thing, even though the Chicago Bears have a really good stout defense, one thing I'm keeping a really big eye on, or something I actually just want to see in general, is more Josh Jacobs. So Josh Jacobs, run the damn ball. So Marshawn Lloyd's back, healthy. Hopefully, even with the appendicitis surgery yesterday, this guy cannot catch a break. But Josh Jacob, over his past 2 weeks, right before the bye week, 222 rushing yards in those 2 weeks. That was second in the NFL. 178 yards after contact. That was also second in the NFL. 10 first downs. That was also second in the NFL. 10 missed tackles forced. That was tied for fourth. And a 77.9 rushing grade, which was fourth in the National Football League. So Josh Jacobs has been an absolute stud, and I'm hoping that they, even though the Chicago Bears have a really good defense, I'm hoping that they lean into the running game, whether it's Josh Jacobs or some of our backups, just because, a lot of these Jordan Love interceptions, they're just sloppy and they don't need to happen. And I look at a game like even the Detroit Lions, where Josh Jacobs, I believe, ran the ball 13 times. He had 95 total rushing yards, 7.3 yards per carry, but the Packers only ran him 13 total times. And I get it, the game script maybe not necessarily in their favor, but keep in mind the Green Bay Packers were leading after the first quarter 3-0 against Detroit. And yeah, so just run the damn ball. So let's talk about this defense really quickly because, as we pointed out, Caleb Williams has really been struggling. The whole Bears offense has really been struggling. Now, they just fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, so there's that kind of like thing in sports where you fire a coach. It's typically with the head coach, but you like fire a coach and then the next week they're like the best team in the NFL. Little bit worried about that. Caleb hasn't been the worst. I think the stats have been like he's not even throwing interceptions. So once again, league leading 38 total sacks, 9 last week against the Patriots where they lost at home to the New England Patriots, but both of their starting tackles were out. They're both expected back this week. But the Bears have only given up the ball 8 times this entire season. Only twice since week 4. Jair Alexander and Evan Williams are 2 safeties. Hopefully they're back. Xavier McKinney, though, I'm looking for an interception. He has allowed fewer than 10 receiving yards in coverage in 7 of his 9 games this season. He has 6 interceptions. He also has only 6 first downs allowed. He is playing like the league's best safety. He's on his way to an all-pro. He's been a stud, man. I just think if the Packers can force a turnover and if they can win the turnover battle, they should be able to handily win this football game. Now, I haven't made a Packers video in that bye week, so I do want to talk on real quick. Preston Smith got traded. So we're looking at Kingsley Enkabari, and we're looking at Lucas Van Ness. Lucas Van Ness is really intriguing to me because in his rookie season last year, he had 23 total solo tackles. He also had 5 sacks. He had a respectable 64 PFF grade. But this year kind of feels like a sophomore slump. He's played in 41% of defensive snaps, which is the 4th most amongst Packers defensive edges. But he has only 6 pressures. He has only 13 solo tackles. He's only got 1 total sack, and his PFF grade at 47.6. It's not great. But keep in mind, in week 1, he had 5 total pressures. 5. 6 pressures through 9 games this season. So, looking for Kingsley Enkabari and Lucas Van Ness to really step up, and obviously Rashawn Gary, Brenton Cox, a couple other players. I'm not worried about the Preston Smith trade because, and we only got a 7th round pick, but we just didn't need him. He didn't fit this new scheme with Jeff Hafley. So that's it. That's it for today. Give me a game score prediction down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button. Hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this. Give me your game box or your game prediction score down below, and we will see you hopefully in 24 hours. Peace.